Hey, hey, IDS 315. Is this thing on? Welcome to Module 2. Sorry I'm a day late. I usually like to get these on Sundays, but the module starts on Monday. Um, it is Monday, May 23rd, and it's about 12:30 almost. So a lot to cover today. So excited now that we're getting into it now. Okay, I got some, what do I call it? Housekeeping on different items. Sometimes you might see me zero out a grade that you didn't submit. If you didn't submit your work or something, I'll zero it out. I do it a couple reasons why. Call your attention to it. And if you know you're not submitting it, well, that's fine too. But it calls your attention to it. Also gives you a better idea of your grade, even though, like I say, it's total points. Also, you can always turn anything in up to 3 days late, except for what? Quizzes and discussion board peer responses. Everything else you got a 3 day window on, except Easter eggs you can even take longer. I don't care, but I'd like you to send them because again, chronological order of the course, right? Okay, um, let's talk about how stinking easy Module 1 was. This cannot stand. I don't believe I did that. I don't know how I got myself thinking that was enough because it's not. I mean, the other class I had like 8 things to submit, including everything. You guys have 4. It's not your fault, it's mine. So it was a soft opening. I think I mentioned that. And everybody should be on the ball. There's only about a half a dozen, no, not half a dozen, two. I got 4 introductions didn't get turned in. But other than that, we're looking pretty good. A couple of people don't want to watch the video. Again, it's an option like everything else. I paid my electric bill. It was an option, but I figured I wanted air conditioning. Alrighty then. Let's move on to formatting. As we get into short essays, I'm going to take the short off of these though, because I'm just going to call them essays. I have another class that's, I don't know, I'm adjusting things a little bit, not just to make it better, okay? More understanding. Anyways, just so you know, I'm going to look at this Module 2 short essay. It says essay should be minimum 400 words, APA formatting, word only, Times New Roman, 12-point font, double line spacing, paragraph indents. Okay, those are so important. Okay, paragraph indents, 1 tab in. Write in paragraph form, please. Okay, word only, Times New Roman, 12-point font. Be careful because your word will probably default into Calibri 11. Make it Times New Roman 12. Let me see. Can I see better with these today? It's going all over the place. Double line spacing. Do not squish it together. Okay. So that's going to be important. All right. I'm not going to jump too far ahead. I want to talk about formatting there. Okay. And why those things are important. But I also want to talk about this. I was told that there is no real prerequisite for this class. Like you don't have to take IDS 301, IDS 302 before this class. And I'm just wondering what the hell is going on with the system. So it's fine if that's what we decided, our IDS curriculum that I'm part of. But I guess it creates an issue with me with trying to determine that, the foundational concepts and ideas about interdisciplinary studies. You don't have that. Some of you who haven't taken 301 or 302, 301, let's say. 302 is more of an application. I use it to apply what we learned in 301. So let's say 301, the foundations of interdisciplinary studies. Okay. Right. Many of you know what that is because you've taken it. All right. Some of you might not, and that's not your fault if you didn't take it yet. Okay. Jesus, just take it, please, would you? Um, but what is IDS? What is IDS? This is what I talk to my 301s about. What is IDS? I mean, it's like, give me a handful of water out of the sink. You can't do it. It's hard to grasp. What's this definition of IDS? What is it? Oh, I'm learning about 2 different disciplines and interdisciplinary. And no, that's not it. You have two concentrations probably, but interdisciplinary refers to two or more. It could be 7, there could be 5, there could be 3, there could be 2 or more. We just have you take two concentrations. Okay. Interdisciplinary studies endeavors to teach a student or endeavors to solve complex problems in the world today. It's ideal for our 21st century complex problems. Climate change, sustainability, politics, race relations, immigration. These are big, huge balls of problems. IDS is well suited for that. But can anybody study sustainability and politics and this and that? Yes, yes, that's fine. We're just saying there's a space for interdisciplinarians because interdisciplinarians endeavor to do what? Integrate. You could be studying business and management. You could be studying geology and dance. I had a student doing that once. You could be studying, having these double majors. You could have a major minor. But when you do those things, none of them do this. Okay? We endeavor to teach you about this, about integration. What does it look like? When can it be used? When shouldn't it be used? Okay? For example, let's take the new highway stretch they put out here south of us. I used that example for years. We've been waiting for this highway stretch, this bypass to go around Phoenix. They just can't line it up and put up a road and get civil planners or whatever they do. They needed people who specialized in sustainability because it's a lot of desert out there. What goes on in that desert? What are we trying to protect? What do we don't mind putting a road through? What kind of wildlife is there? Okay. We gotta talk about sustainability. What type of road are we putting in there? Baby's gonna be baking in the summer when it's 120. Okay. Talking about political science. We're going through First Nations land. Now we got almost an international border there. We got political science. So it's not just about lining up a road, but if the political scientist does this, and this climate and sustainability scientist does this, the urban planner does this, they're not talking to anybody, they're doing their thing, and they're done. What does that do for this road? We need to integrate. We need to talk to people. We need to find out differences in meaning. Okay? Think about, I want you to build a bridge. The first thought that came to your mind when I ask you that, thinking of the road, building a bridge, or are you a musician that's thinking about building a bridge between the first chorus, second chorus, first? Or are you a dentist thinking about building a bridge? So interdisciplinarians, that's an extreme example, they endeavor to identify issues of communication between disciplines. Because disciplines are separate entities of knowledge, research. They have their own style, their own words, their own types of research. Rarely do they stray. We, as interdisciplinarians, we seek to knock these walls down, integrate where needed. Okay? If you want to solve politics in this country, what do you got to look at? You got to look at African American studies. You got to look at economics. You got to look at religious studies. You got to look at so many things, but not separately, in conjunction with each other. Many of these studies that you see nowadays and you've seen before are interdisciplinary in essence. Anything that's a geographical study, Asian Pacific studies, African studies, Europe studies, American studies, they take in a lot of disciplines, okay, and they become fields unto themselves, right? Okay, so interdisciplinary studies looks at all these things. It's kind of the discipline that wasn't, but it's important to get that context. I remember I was at a family reunion in 2012, and I was back to college, okay, 2010 or 12. And I was taking IDS. And I ran into my cousin and her husband, and she was a judge and on the school board, and he was a professor and of this and that, and from Green Bay, Wisconsin. And, I'm the young cousin. I was about early 50s at the time. And he says, they come up to me afterwards, oh, we hear you went back to college. That's so neat. Well, I went to college. I didn't go back. I was going. And you're studying what? Interdisciplinary studies? And he said, isn't that where you throw shit against the wall and see what sticks? You know what I said? I said, the jerk store called and they're running out of you. Just kidding. That's a Seinfeld reference. I didn't say anything. I said, oh, that's pretty funny. I better go to school and find out how the hell I'm supposed to answer that question. So when you're on an elevator pitch, you got your 5 minutes to tell somebody about interdisciplinary studies. What makes you different than the animals running around? Why are you different? Okay. So you seek to integrate information, right? If you're in business and you're up for a promotion, you go for an interview, they're saying, well, what do you bring to the table as an interdisciplinarian? Well, my concentrations were business and psychology. And I've learned to integrate those things, to see things, see the gray areas there. So we're in business here, and my job is to manage this team, what have you. And as a psychology and business major, I can understand the impact of both of these from an individual, and makes me that much better than someone who was one or the other, or separate. So it's not an easy thing to ask, but it's an important thing to understand as you go through your IDS and you get through this and you're like, what did I just do? I mean, I took IDS because I was at a point in my life I can get away with it. I wasn't looking to build a long career. I just wanted to do the stuff I wanted to do. That was my art. That was travel. That was understanding, learning about things, and I decided to put my academic side with my artistic side and see what came out. And I thought maybe I'd work in the refugee community, and that didn't happen. But this happened, so that's much better. But um, you are going after this at a different point. Everybody has a different point in life, depending on what you're going to use this for. Advance your career, advance your knowledge, advance your ability to be more broad-minded and be able to solve complex problems of the 21st century, contribute. Okay, that's what's important. So anyways, oh, by the way, I saw I don't know which integrative site posted this, but LinkedIn had a National Park Service posted a link for a job opening. And I'm going to include it in the email announcement. They have a cultural resources program manager job, but in the right after it, in parentheses, it says interdisciplinary. Cool. So cool. Let me see if it's mentioned anywhere else. They tricked you. They didn't. All right. But I think what they're meaning by this is that you should come in with a broad set of skills. You should understand how those skills interact, not that they're all separate. Boom, 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 boom. I can hammer a nail. I can draw a picture. I can turn a TV on. I can drive my car. Yes. Well, what does that mean in terms of context and connection and integration? And in those of you who had in my class before, you know that the I word to me is like, it's excitement. It's great. It's the best thing. And therefore, Easter egg number one is IDS equals integration. IDS equals integration. Now, I could say this about it to break it down a little further. IDS is the field that you're studying right now. It's a field of study. It's interdisciplinary studies. Integration is a process. It's a process. But IDS equals integration in so many ways. The field and the process within the field. If you look at it that way, you don't have to come up with things like, well, it's like a blender and it's a salad and then we're going to mix the fruit bowl and it's like the U.S. melting pot, blah, blah, blah. Oh, excuse me. No, it's just integration. Okay. How does that connect with this topic? Well, what is the topic again? It's the political economy of organizations and such. Well, it does, because political economy, as you've seen already early, covers a lot of stuff. Well, you haven't seen it. You haven't done anything yet in this class. Who am I kidding? You had it made that first week. It's time to buckle down. As my dad used to say. Buckle down. All right, so This module is with 140 points. Looking at the overview, what is work? We're going to talk about work. What is work? How are work and labor different? And how is work a social construct? Social construct. By the end of the submodule, students should be able to evaluate work as a socio-historical and political construct. Right there, interdisciplinary, socio-historical and political construct. It covers all this. All these things are interacting. And we're not just going to look at the history of work. No, we're looking at history of work in connection with the socio-political impact of all that, right? Discern the historical dimensions of work as it relates to gender. Bam, now we got gender studies involved. This is interdisciplinary work, okay? So the learning materials, there's some readings. I cut back on the handout reading, the attached reading, because there was redundancy in there. So I want you to focus on the general intro. It's a lot of information packed in there, okay? Attached works, okay? And it's about 5 pages. Then you got this video on Karl Marx on alienation. It's important. Some of you might hear the name Karl Marx and just recoil. I'm not no damn Marxist. I'm saying that rhetorically, but I'll say it myself. I'm not a Marxist in terms of political Marxism or anything, okay? Karl Marx was a sociologist, studied societies, and his angle was looking at it through work, looking at it through the proletariat and the bourgeoisie, looking at it through different classes. Okay, so many things that are still relevant to this day and always will be relevant because it's a theory, Marxist theory that we work in. We work in many different theories. Marx had a lot to say about this alienation. He had a lot to say about work. He's a great theorist to use when it comes to work. So check out that video and stuff, okay? It's going to be important that you do that. Make sure you are taking notes. My recommendation, I should be this tired. My recommendation is, I think that will go to, most of the videos will go to CC, level closed caption. When you can do that, you can see what they're saying and you can take notes easier that way, right? Okay, so then you want to get into, let's see, I want to double check the readings here. It's like a Google book. It'll open to a random freaking page. You're going to have to probably scroll way up, Working in America, go to the table of contents, click on General Introduction. Takes you right there. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. And then there's a references. So just do that. And we'll be talking about one of these subsections that we get into here later. All right. So take a look at those. Get to those early and let those assimilate. Let them sink in a little bit, right? Time is at 12:46. Okay. And then when you're ready, we got the discussion board. Work as a social construction. We can call it a social construct. That sounds more academic to me. I like it. But for this discussion, consider the statement from the learning materials, the thing that work cannot be understood only in economic terms. Using ideas, concept terms, and material, what does this mean? Okay, now, I'm going to put in that if you do use something from material, you can feel free to bold it, okay? And I would like you to bold it. That may, I can see it, but, well, nah, this is discussion. I thought it was the paper. No. Okay, and then next, write about what the statement means to you. So first part of it is, it's going to be using the concepts, terms from the material. What does it mean? I don't want your opinion up there. I want to know what it means. That means no pronouns, no I, me, my, we, whatever. Next, write about the statement, what it means to you. Now we get into both personally and professionally. Think about, how does that statement manifest itself in day-to-day life? Boy, who's writing this grammar? Me. Think about how that statement, I'm going to call it a social construct. Same thing, sounds better. Day-to-day life, how about work? It's different for all of us. I dropped my son off at his job at the bookstore. He's working 9 to 3 today. Work to him is work, though. He picks orders. He gets your book orders wrong. Well, yeah, he does stuff like that, and he works, and he's not thrilled with it. He was paid. He's got an interview tomorrow to work at the museum. That's the job he really wants. But I guess what I'm saying is work, he would describe work really different than me. Work isn't integrated in my life. Okay. I think about work a lot, but not like a drudgery thing. I'm in tune to it. So if I see something like that in an interdisciplinary ad, it resonates with me. Aha. Okay. I can share this knowledge, right? So I like having this all kind of, so my life, I'm working here, but pretty soon I'll go to position 4, which is a recliner, take a little nap. No, I don't think I will. Went to the gym this morning. I don't really have, like I told them, the worst thing they could do to me in this job would be to make me punch a time clock and wear a tie. That would suck. Okay, so last week I was wearing a bandana, for God's sakes. So yeah, that's your whatchamacallit, your discussion. Then you got the quiz. Now I liked putting these quizzes. I did all the quizzes. I made all the quizzes. There were no quizzes in this class. I made them all. I think I did. Yeah, 40 points, 40 minutes. How many questions? 10. Okay, so that's really good. I like it. I always keep taking my own quizzes to make sure I keep getting them right, because if I get stuff wrong all the time, then I know it's not fair. But I'm not trying to trick you. I'm trying to make sure you're paying attention. You have your notes. You have the material right there. So please do it get it done. Now, there's no late quizzes. Remember that? And you haven't taken a quiz from me yet. That's right. Wow, we're really going to get going here. So let me submit that and move on to the short essay, which I'm going to change to essay. Okay, essay. Here's the essay. All right, essay. All right, so there are 50 points. In the Wharton's Working in America reading, there's a subsection titled Linking Micro and Macro in Sociological Studies of Work. Read and review it closely, once more if you have to, and then consider both those terms, micro and macro, when it comes to sociological studies of work, how they're used in the piece. Break down the definitions there as they pertain to the author's intent. Then, using your own words with the authors when needed, discuss the differences. I'm making a new paragraph here. Okay. Okay, so it should be minimum 400 words. APA formatting. That's word only, Times New Roman, 12-point font, double line spacing, paragraph indents. Okay, and I do, want to see that. So that's important. Okay, let's go to Easter egg number 2. Take notes. Use CC. Take notes. Use CC. CC is closed caption. Right. Just want you to do that. That's Easter egg number 2. Okay. And then to get into, like I said, to think about IDS as you're going through this class, in any IDS class, and then anything that you are doing in your life, to think about it in terms of IDS, okay? In terms of integration, IDS equals integration. It's the easiest thing. Somebody says, what's this interdisciplinary studies you take? Well, we endeavor to integrate, period. You're done. Integrate. What does that mean? Well, disciplinary insights, disciplinary knowledge. Every discipline's like its own silo or its own box with all the goodies in it. We seek to break those things down so we can integrate. We can use those things. And if you took my 301 or other 301s, you might have heard of the different disciplinary points of view. This is a quick thing for your cheat notes. Intradisciplinary. Intradisciplinary means one discipline. So if you're my son, he's a history major, intradisciplinary, right? He did a philosophy minor. Okay. Then there's cross-disciplinary. Cross-disciplinary views something from one discipline through the eyes of another. For example, the mathematics of music. We're not using them side by side, mathematics and music. We're using them like this. I'm looking at music through mathematics. Okay? This is cross-disciplinary, right? Then you've got multidisciplinary. That's your double majors. I'm taking history, I'm taking philosophy. It's a double major. Neither of the twain shall meet. Double majors. Multidisciplinary means 2 or more. Boom, boom, boom. Interdisciplinary. Bing, ding, ding, ding. 2 or more disciplines where integration is endeavored, achieved, intended. Okay. There's one more beyond that. It's called transdisciplinary. Transdisciplinary. Trans means to go beyond. Transdisciplinary goes beyond the disciplines. Now you're talking about things that are not disciplinary. Disciplinary meaning from academia, from universities. There's all disciplines. They're very clear disciplines. Okay. Discipline has multiple meanings, of course. You got disciplines in school. You need to be disciplined to get your work done, and then you got discipline as a form of punishment. But disciplines are academic related. To go beyond the disciplines mean to bring in other things outside. So what does that mean? Well, you look at the problem first in transdisciplinary. Transdisciplinary, the problem will define who comes in. So let's say we're talking about in Arizona, we're talking about border issues. Okay, so who do we have to solve this problem? Well, we've got to bring in political scientists because it's international. You know, there's boundary specialists, things like that. But political science has to be involved, right? And then you have to be involved with human rights, immigration disciplines to talk about what works and what doesn't work. And then you want to talk about, beyond the disciplines, landowners, maybe chambers of commerce, maybe human rights groups, maybe militia groups, I don't know. But see, it goes beyond the disciplines. There is no militia discipline. Okay. So you go beyond this one. Same when you talk about domestic terrorism. You could bring in clergy. You could bring in religious studies. Clergy doesn't always mean religious studies. By the way, here's another pro tip. Occupations are not disciplines. Education is a discipline. To be an educator is a occupation. To be a politician is an occupation. Political science is a discipline. A politician doesn't have to be a specialist in political science. He's just got to know how to glad hand and get his word out. And he doesn't have to study political science. Political scientist does it. Religious studies is an academic field. Priest, rabbi, imam, occupations, callings, whatever you want to call them, they don't have to have religious studies academics. So always remember that. There's a difference between disciplines, occupations, okay? All right. So there you go. I've talked way too far, 27 minutes, but I wanted to get a lot done. If you have any questions about interdisciplinary studies, let me know about the concepts of interdisciplinary. This is your program. This is your degree, okay? I have mine way over there. You see them? See them right? I can't. There they are, right there. All that stuff. All interdisciplinary stuff. Cool. All right, that should do it. So my last Easter egg for you is IDS equals integration. Just inject it. IDS equals integration. Forks up. Peace.